Welcome to our group conversation for the container security meeting. Just to start off, anything new to demo? It looks like Alexander's got something. Alexander's not on the call, but let me see if I can pull it up. Looks like he's added the warning message if you do not have an agent installed, which is great because especially where right now the Kubernetes agent service is disabled on .com. Once we roll this out, it may be enabled by then, it may not be. And even if it is enabled, users may or may not have an agent in their cluster. Hey, Alexander, I was just talking through your demo item, but you're welcome to demo it instead. So yeah, that's great because then it provides a warning and disables that add alert button to help avoid confusion. So yeah, thanks for doing that. Looks great, Alexander. So this next one is optional. There was some discussion about whether we should talk about this now or later. Some of the UX has changed slightly for our project level DAST scan execution policies epic. That's a mouthful. I guess this mostly impacts you, Alexander, on the front end. So it's up to you. Do you want to talk through some of that now? Do you want to wait? I don't really care. We can do either one.
Let's wait because I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay. That sounds good. And there is a lot that still is changing. So, I mean, Ellen's proposing to store it in a repository instead of the database, which is going to impact the front end a little bit. I have a meeting this evening, my time, to talk about it with Tiago as well as the rest of the DAST team. So Annabelle, our UX designer, plus Seth and Derek, who's their PM, just because they're also planning to have scheduled scans in their scan interface. And so we're just trying to make sure like that this is going to work with all the groups. And so there is a little bit that still is in flux there. So it probably wouldn't hurt to wait. All right, so Alexander, other topics to discuss. This is going to be a fast meeting today.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, you are having a meeting later on today with some people from the secure group about the DAST on demand. And I just saw there was a conversation going on in Slack and I wanted to move it to this group meeting. One, so we have record that we talked about it, but also just consolidate all the conversation around it. So you're saying they're going to have something very similar, but it's going to be different enough that it's not, that it's fine having both.
Yeah, so what they're working on is allowing you to run on-demand scans. So if you just walk in today and, say, I want to run a DAST scan right now. To do that, I mean, you could do that today. You could run a manual pipeline, like set up a pipeline, but it's kind of a pain. So they're trying to make that a lot easier in the UI and have a place where you can actually manage your scans. And that's a little bit different from managing your policies. Your policies are something that you want enforced. Like you want that to happen. Whereas, your scans, maybe an auditor requests a scan. And so you just run a one-off scan for the auditor, or, maybe the developer said, hey, I did a bunch of stuff and I know it ran in the pipeline, but can we run it again just to check, whatever the case may be. It's just like a one-off scan that you're running on your own. So that's what they're working on with on-demand scans. And then they also want to let you schedule scans. But again, that would be more, so that's one of the items we need to work out is the permissions, because that would be more like for a developer or maintainer to run rather than like the security team requiring that it has to run every week. So it's just a slightly different persona. Ideally, you would actually, we've talked about showing them in both places. So there are definitely some details there that we need to work out amongst ourselves. We're going to talk about that later today with those scheduled scans. The on-demand scans do not overlap. The scheduled scans do.
Great. Thank you for the great explanation.
Alan, you had a comment in there too.
Yeah, about that. I was thinking that what we are doing with policies and what they're doing with on-demand scan, like schedules on-demand scans. And as you said, our work is about enforcing some policies, some scans to run on given time. So what I was thinking, okay, we can have like everything in policy. I mean, you would like to schedule a DAST scan to happen weekly and so on. And then what it should do, it should create a scheduled DAST on-demand DAST scan in database, reuse those services that DAST team is gonna create. So from policies, there will be like one directional relationship. We have it in policy. That means we'll create it in this table for on-demand scheduled scans, but not like the opposite. We shouldn't be able to create on-demand scan that it's scheduled on DAST UI, and then that will create a like policy, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe if it shows up in that scheduled on-demand scans that it's disabled in some way or they're not able to edit it, it just says
Yeah.
to edit this, go to the policy UI. So maybe it shows up so they know it's there. But yeah, that makes good sense. I agree.
Yeah, and that's also a good thing if they want to develop that. I mean, that's theme, because that means that we'll only reuse what we're working on, right? So we'll just have like they'll create all the models for schedules and to do actually to be able to run a schedule scan. And we in security policies, we're just gonna reuse that. So that means that we'll have like less work for us, but at the same time we can help them because we're already thinking about models and about what to do and so on. So I believe we have a spike. I'll add links to spikes under my comments, so you could use that in your conversation with Derek and others.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. And it is worth noting that we are pretty far ahead of the DAST team on this. Like we're going to get to it first. So it's more likely that they're going to use whatever we build than that we will use what they build. So
got it. So maybe we should the way we should like start working on that one is to help them build their feature, and then we'll reuse that feature, because that will be like the best way to approach that. I mean, for some time help with that, and then get back to security policies, because we need their help to properly design it and properly develop that, because they have the expert knowledge about that and how they want to have that. We are here just, oh, here's a policy, we just want to enforce that. They're like, oh, this is the whole logic I would like to use to run test scan.
Yeah, I agree. So, and I'm supportive of that too. Actually, I've had conversations with Derek on that topic, exactly saying, hey, you know, if your work is a roadblock for us, maybe we have our developers go help you for a little while. So, yep, I think we're thinking on the same line of thought there, and we'll record the meeting later today and post it so everyone can see that as well.
That is great.
All right.
I just want to plus one on what Alan was talking about. I like his strategy, especially because it makes sure that we are not going different paths. It can happen that maybe that team goes a little bit quicker than we expect, and we end up with different different paths in this code base doing almost the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Does anybody have anything else?
Looking forward to team day on Thursday.
Yeah, band practice. There's going to be a band practice. We're going to make a song. That might be ambitious for whatever, 30 minutes, or we'll see.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll talk to you next week, and hopefully we'll see you on Thursday.
Bye, friends.